When Richard Donner's Superman, the movie, premiered in 1978, it didn't just set the standard for subsequent superhero films. It introduced the world to a man who, in many ways, would forever become synonymous with the role, Christopher Reeve. Why is Christopher Reeve the Superman for so many fans? Stay tuned for the video. Anachronic. Welcome back, everyone, to Anachronic Comics, where we dive deep into the world of comic books. I'm your host, Joe, and today, in the third episode of Cinematic Conversations, I'm going to do a deep dive into Christopher Reeve's performance in Superman, the movie. Christopher Reeve was, with his uncanny ability to embody both the invincible Superman and the bumbling, earnest Clark Kent, redefined how audiences perceived the superhero genre. His performance wasn't just a career milestone, it was a cultural turning point, bridging the gap between comic books and mainstream cinema. To this day, Reeve's portrayal remains iconic, and his casting carries profound importance in cinematic and pop culture history. At the time, casting Christopher Reeve as Superman was not the obvious choice. He was relatively unknown, having only a handful of theater credits and a role in the soap opera Love of Life. This decision was risky, considering the film's budget and the high stakes of adapting such a beloved comic book character. Warner Brothers initially sought big names like Robert Redford or Paul Newman. However, the director, Richard Donner, insisted that Superman needed to be played by someone unfamiliar, allowing the audience to fully believe in the character without the baggage of recognized celebrity. Enter Reeve, a Juilliard-trained actor with a magnetic presence and an extraordinary talent. Though he had to bulk up considerably for the role, adding nearly 40 pounds of muscle under the guidance of a former British weightlifting champion, his physical transformation paled in comparison to his emotional authenticity. Reeve's audition demonstrated that he not only understood Superman, but also grasped the nuanced duality of his identity as Clark Kent. Reeve brought genuine emotional vulnerability to Superman, allowing audiences to see beyond the cape and into the man's inner struggles. This approach laid the groundwork for modern superhero portrayals that delve into the psychology of their characters. Henry Cavill's Superman, for instance, explores themes of isolation and responsibility, while Tom Holland's Spider-Man often struggles with balancing his personal desires against his heroic duties. Reeve's balance of emotional depth and optimism remain a key reference point for these nuanced performances. Reeve's casting as an unknown actor demonstrated that an audience could connect deeply with a fresh face embodying a beloved character. This approach has since become a staple in superhero filmmaking. From Hugh Jackman as Wolverine to Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, filmmakers now prioritize finding actors who truly embody the essence of the character rather than relying solely on star power. Superman, as a character, is as much about his humanity as it is about his powers. His appeal lies in the contrast between his almost godlike abilities and his very mortal emotional dilemmas. However, it is Clark Kent, his human alter ego, that Superman's relatability truly shines. Balancing these two personas on screen is no small feat, yet Christopher Reeve accomplished it with such finesse that audiences were completely sold on the illusion that Clark and Superman were two distinct individuals. As Superman, Reeve embodied the character's strength, dignity, and moral compass. When he donned the cape, he carried himself with confidence and poise, and an undeniable sense of hope. His voice deepened, his posture straightened, and his piercing gaze projected a quiet yet commanding power. Audiences didn't just see a man in tights, they saw an icon, a savior, a beacon of light in a darkening world. Conversely, Reeve's Clark was awkward, self-effacing, and endearingly clumsy. He hunched his shoulders, fumbled with his glasses, and spoke with a higher-pitched voice, exuding an almost childlike innocence. In Reeve's hands, Clark wasn't simply a disguise. He was a fully realized character in his own right. The contrast between the two personas was so convincing that it made the idea of Lois Lane not recognizing Superman as Clark feel at least somewhat plausible. Okay, maybe not, but he tried. Reeve's ability to make Clark Kent and Superman feel like two distinct individuals remains a masterclass in acting. His use of physical posture, voice modulation, and subtle mannerisms set a high bar for portrayal of dual identities. Christopher Reeve's interpretation of Superman resonated deeply with audiences because it tapped into the universal themes of identity, hope, and the human spirit. He didn't just play Superman, he was Superman, both on and off screen. The following are some of the key reasons why his casting was so impactful. First, bridging the gap between fantasy and reality. Before Superman the movie, the superhero genre was largely confined to comic books, animated series, and campy TV shows like Adam West's Batman. Reeve's performance elevated the material, bringing a sense of gravitas and realism to a genre that many dismissed as juvenile. He treated the role with the same seriousness and dedication as any Shakespearean part, proving that comic book characters could be taken seriously as cinematic art. Reeve's Superman wasn't just a man in a cape. He was an aspirational figure who embodied the best qualities of humanity: compassion, integrity, and a commitment to justice. By grounding the character in emotional truth, Reeve made audiences believe a man could fly, not just physically, but metaphorically. 2. Exploring the complexity of dual identity. The duality of Clark Kent and Superman mirrors the inner struggles that many people face. How do we reconcile our public personas with our private selves? How do we navigate the expectations placed upon us by society while staying true to who we are? Reeve's nuanced performance captured these tensions with unparalleled skill, making Superman a deeply relatable figure despite his otherworldly powers. For example, in the iconic scene where Clark almost reveals his true identity to Lois Lane, Reeve seamlessly transitions between the two personas in a matter of seconds. The moment he removes his glasses and straightens his posture, we see Superman emerge. Then, just as quickly, he reverts back to Clark with a nervous laugh. This subtle yet powerful acting showcased Reeve's deep understanding of the character's psychology. 3. Setting the standard for superhero performances. Christopher Reeve's Superman became the benchmark against which all future superhero portrayals would be measured. His ability to balance the grandeur of the superhero with the vulnerability of the man behind the mask set an example for actors like Tobey Maguire, Christian Bale, and Henry Cavill. Reeve proved that the heart of any superhero story lies not in the action sequences or special effects, but in the humanity of its characters. Reeve's Superman struck an ideal balance between earnestness and humor, never veering into camp, but maintaining a sense of lightness. This approach can be seen in modern films like Iron Man, where Robert Downey Jr. blends charm with sincerity, and Guardians of the Galaxy, which combines humor with heartfelt moments. Modern superhero films often emphasize humor more prominently, but Reeve's portrayal remains a model of how to achieve a tonal balance without undermining the gravitas of the character. 4. A timeless symbol of hope. Reeve's Superman embodies timeless values of hope, justice, and integrity. His portrayal was inspirational and almost mythic, making Superman a beacon of positivity. Modern actors often bring a more complex or darker edge to their characters, reflecting shifts in societal expectations. Christian Bale's Batman wrestles with ethical dilemmas, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man deals with personal loss and self-doubt. However, some performances, such as Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, continue to challenge Reeve's unwavering optimism and sense of heroism. In the years following the film's release, Reeve became a real-life symbol of hope and resilience, particularly after the tragic accident that left him paralyzed. Reeve's legacy as a cultural symbol of hope further bolstered by his personal resilience and activism after his accident, sets him apart from most modern performers whose connections to their roles rarely extend beyond the screen. His advocacy for spinal cord research and his unwavering optimism in the face of adversity only cemented his legacy as Superman, both on and off the screen. For many, Christopher Reeve wasn't just an actor who played a superhero. He was a superhero. The success of Superman the movie not only launched the franchise, but also laid the groundwork for the modern superhero genre. His Superman was a cultural phenomenon that transcended age, geography, and demographics, inspiring generations of fans and creators alike. Reeve struck a perfect balance between earnestness and lightheartedness, making Superman inspiring without being overly serious. Even today, nearly 5 decades later, Reeve's performance continues to resonate. His Superman represents a simpler, more optimistic vision of heroism, one that reminds us of the power of kindness, the importance of standing up for what's right, and the potential for greatness that lies within all of us. As James Gunn works to establish DC Studios and his new Superman movie, it is important to note that Gunn reportedly requires his directors to watch the 1978 film Superman the movie. He believes that it's a foundational piece for understanding the character and its depiction, and that watching it serves as a crucial reference point for his DC Studios projects. The primary purpose of the requirement is to foster a shared understanding of Superman among the creative team, ensuring that the film remains true to the core elements while allowing for fresh interpretation and innovation. Christopher Reeve's casting as Superman was a stroke of genius that forever changed the way we see superheroes on the screen. His ability to capture the essence of both Superman and Clark Kent elevated the film into a timeless masterpiece, setting a standard for superhero storytelling that endures to this day. Reeve's performance, combined with Richard Donner's direction, proved that superhero films could be more than just popcorn entertainment. They could also have artistic and emotional depth. This paved the way for filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, Ryan Coogler, and the Russo brothers to create superhero films that appealed to both die-hard fans and general audiences, blending spectacle and substance. For me, and many Christopher Reeve fans, Reeve wasn't just an actor in a red cape, but a reminder that even in a world filled with challenges, we all have the capacity to be heroes. His portrayal of Superman remains not only a cinematic triumph, but also a testament to the belief that with the right actor and the right vision, even the most fantastical characters can feel profoundly real. What was your favorite Christopher Reeve moment in Superman the movie? Are you looking forward to David Cornswith's portrayal of Superman and Clark Kent? Let me know in the comments. While you're waiting for the next one, click here for my cinematic conversations on Heath Ledger's Joker, and here for Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. Be well, and I'll see you soon.